VAATV, Vietnamese American Arizona Television. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to VAATV.com, the real estate world. So today, as usual, we have Mr. Scott Barlow. Will discuss some of the topic related to the investment, because it's really a wide topic about the investment of any of the property. So what are we covering today, Scott?
Well, what we're going to do is talk about location.
Yeah.
You know, the old adage about real estate, it's always location, location, location.
Right.
So we're going to delve into that a little bit tonight.
Yeah.
And what desirable things to look for.
Oh, I see. Okay. So then, of course, when we, let's say if, the beautiful home and everything great inside, but like outside is really not a great neighborhood, and crime or noisy and all that. So what do you think about that?
Well, one of the worst things that you can do is you can spend a lot of money and be in a location where it's going to pull down your property values. Okay. There's a couple of terms that you hear when you really get into the science of studying real estate. One is regression, the other is progression. Regression is where you've got the nicest house on the block and all of your neighbors' home values are low. That pulls your property value down.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you've got kind of a plain house and you've got $1 million mansions all around you, it pulls your property values up.
So it's different. It's like we're talking about like teamwork. You cannot be so stand out into a poor neighborhood.
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah.
You cannot. Yeah. You don't stand alone. Everybody that surrounds you in that immediate locale, their property values can affect your property value.
All right. So buy a small house in a big mansion area, then your value would be real
Your
good.
value goes up.
Oh, okay.
But on the other hand, if you got the big mansion and you're surrounded with lots of small houses, it pulls yours down.
Wow. Okay. So then that's we're talking about the area. I mean the location where the house stands, right? Beside that, what are they looking for besides that? Because sometimes when they come to the neighborhood in the wrong hour, it's maybe busy, maybe quiet. So what else are they looking into?
Well, the very first thing is think about, where do you want to live? And let's face it, in this day and age, most people in the United States live close to large cities. Here in the state of Arizona, if you think of the Phoenix area and you think of Tucson, most of the state population is within a short distance of those two big metropolitan areas. So you want to make sure that if you're looking for value, that you're located in a place where you have a major city. You know, of course, the advantages of a major city are many. You have better transportation, public transportation. You have other amenities, you know, whether you're into sports or whether you're into art or theater. Those types of
with
things.
family that need a good school.
Good schools,
right?
yes. And healthcare.
Healthcare.
If you want to be near a hospital.
Right.
There's better hospitals in the cities than there are out in the rural areas. Typically, if you're in a rural area and you have a need for hospitalization, other than maybe some immediate emergency care, you get moved to one of the larger cities.
Wow. Yeah. Because like, let's say if the, so the price basically determine whatever surrounding that, right? How about like the property like really surrounding by a lot of commercial?
Once again, you start thinking about location.
Yeah.
And would it be a desirable place to have your children playing in the backyard backed up to a place that's doing metal foundry work or doing spray painting of automobiles? So those types of industrial or commercial uses may not be a good fit with your residents. Now, going back to what we've talked about in some of the previous shows, we talked about zoning and how all of that works. And of course, with zoning, the cities, they have a long-term plan for how they want the city to grow. So oftentimes, they will go ahead and they will set the zoning up so that you don't have a residential zoning with a commercial zoning. But that's not to say that on occasion you may have somebody who built a house and the commercial zoning crept up on that location over time.
I see that here in Arizona, sometimes the zoning for commercial and the real estate, I mean the residential, is kind of like close by. Really, like sometimes it's next to each other.
So, exactly right. And when you think about those types of commercial uses, typically they're for things that you as a resident would want easy access to. For example, you want to get to a grocery store.
Right.
You want to get close to your doctor's office. Not the hospital, but your doctor's office. Dental office. But those types of businesses that cater to folks in residential areas, dry cleaners. Those types of things. So that oftentimes you'll have the zoning where it's on the major streets, certainly on the major corners. So it's convenient because, if you're driving on a major street, you want to go in for gasoline. You want to have a gas station or, a Circle K or a QT. You want those on a corner so that you can have two points to ingress and egress. So that people can come from two different directions to get in to the stores. And the same thing with shopping centers. You may have the grocery store, which is the anchor center for the grocery store, but come off the streets and have several different entrances on different streets.
How about we're talking about if they one city is very have a big name, but then next to the house, really right by the border, like Gilbert or for example Gilbert Mesa, something like that. But the house, should we look for if the area that is value, then we want in that or Scottsdale, Scottsdale and Mesa. So do them just one block, but then it's still a Scottsdale.
It can be close, and that can certainly be an advantage. The closer proximity that you have to a very desirable city. And as you mentioned, Scottsdale. Scottsdale, once again, typically has higher priced homes.
Right.
So if you're in close proximity to Scottsdale, that may be something that helps the value of your home.
Okay, because when you purchase the properties, not only you look in that year, but in a long term, right? Not like a short term.
Yes.
But within the term, is there any possibility of value surrounding, right?
And you have exactly right. If you're going to look at it and you're trying to accentuate the value, you really need to look at what the long term effect of that city is, or that close proximity of the two cities.
I see. So
the one danger that you always have is, say you're living right there on the border of one city, and then you've got Scottsdale here, for example. Scottsdale may have entirely different ideas on how they want that city developed at that border. So you could be in a situation where you're buying to build a house or a neighborhood, and Scottsdale's planning on, we're going to put our warehouse district down there.
Okay.
So if you're in that kind of close proximity, you need to pay attention to what both cities' long-term plans are.
So what is it that people need to avoid? Let's say nearby electrical pole, nearby train station, nearby, what is it that, sometimes they have to pay attention,
Pay
right?
attention to,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
I would say that probably the major thing or one major thing that I see a lot of people who turn down homes for are high-powered electric lines.
Oh, okay.
Because especially the major supply lines that come from some of the hydroelectric plants or some
a big pole, tall, or something like that.
Yes, and they carry a lot more electricity than what your neighborhood would have coming into it. They're carrying electricity for a whole city,
right,
as opposed to just for a neighborhood.
But what does it affect them?
Well, there's been studies on it, and they're concerned about electromagnetic fields. That there are. I haven't seen anything that specifically says that it causes problems, but it certainly, if you're a homeowner and you have a concern for that, you're going to avoid that situation.
Okay, yeah,
and
because sometimes, let's say I heard a person come in and bought the the home, but is not really thinking about that situation until after they done. Then somebody like a friend or a visitor come and, oh, why you buy like this,
so close
so close.
Sure.
So that's is something like nobody think about,
That's one example.
So like what we have to be avoid, like. Mm-hmm.
Another one, you may not want to build or have your home close to the railroad tracks.
Oh, okay.
Because Arizona does not have a lot of railroad tracks, but there is a track that goes through Queen Creek and Cave 3 or Cave Creek, comes up through Gilbert into Mesa and Tempe. Yeah. And there's always there's always a danger from trains at the crossings.
Loud noise too.
But noise and the trains the trains operate on their own schedule. Most of these trains that we have here are freight trains. And they can go at night, they can go in the morning. Nothing worse than being sound asleep and woken by a train going by.
That's true. Like big noise.
Other things that you may want to avoid is being close to things like water treatment plants.
Water treatment plant. What's that?
Where they take sewage and convert it back into safe water.
Oh, I see.
So there are
but house close to that area? Usually they allow?
Not so much anymore. They're doing, most of the cities are much more informed, and they're creating barriers, buffers between regular residential neighborhoods and some of these more intense uses. One of them that comes to mind for me immediately is down at in Gilbert at the Gilbert Waterworks.
Yes.
Down close off of Guadalupe and Greenfield Road. So they've got a water treatment facility over there.
Right.
But on the closer side towards Greenfield, what they've done is they've created a riparian area. And I believe that there's about 7 lakes out there.
Wow.
And it brings in the clean water that they're pumping out. They allow it to create ponds, and so they get a lot of bird life in there and everything. And it's a pretty area.
Yeah.
So what they've done is they've taken something that's less desirable, the water treatment plant, and the benefit that they created is having more of a park-like area where residents can come and
like a picnic, or something, right?
But a lot of water birds, a lot of birds that we normally hear in Arizona. We don't see. We see it. We just see the desert birds.
Yeah. What kind of bird?
I've actually been down there. I've seen egrets, pelicans, of course, lots of ducks.
Like small, like little, colorful
birds of all types.
I see a lot of like nice face bird.
I think that on their website they've got a list of about 100 different bird species that they've had there.
Wow. But like, if the house surrounding the area is how it's going to affect?
Well, if you're close to a park it can be very desirable. I mean, a park gives you recreation. It creates a green space. Parks are cooler. We already know that the Phoenix area does not, especially downtown Phoenix, is what they call an island of heat. Lots of concrete.
Right.
And so in the summer, it heats up, it heats up, it heats up. And then at night, what happens? It's radiating that heat off of that concrete. And so it never fully cools down. If you've ever been to a big event in downtown Phoenix at night in July, look at the temperature gauge on your car as you're leaving. And say if you live in Gilbert or you live in Queen Creek or East Mesa. As you drive, you can watch that temperature actually fall for every mile or two you get out of the big city. And I've had instances, and this occurred several years ago, but came out of a Arizona Diamondbacks baseball game, 107 degrees.
Wow.
And of course,
keep down the ground and still keep the no need insulation or anything.
But it was hot. You get in the car, you drive home, and on the way home, you start seeing the temperatures drop, and steadily, by the time you get to East Mesa, it's 95 degrees.
Oh,
I mean, that's a 12 degree.
Yeah, that's a big
drop. That's a big difference.
Right.
But once again, those parks and those types of places, they're green. They help reduce that effect of our heat in the summertime.
Oh, Wow. Mm. But in like with the cold weather, then it's better.
It definitely better. We're in that time of year where it's Chamber of Commerce weather, where we have the winter visitors here. Some of the cities almost double in size when the winter visitors come in and they occupy some of the RV parks, and there's a lot of folks that come here and they have second homes. So this is a very desirable place to be for a lot of people.
So as you say, RV home. Like the park, I see a lot of like advertising, like people want to know if they can buy the park. Is that is that expensive? Is that like the park where the RV come and park in there?
Well, RVs.
Is that his lane, right? Is that referred as a lane or?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. Think of it just like what we were talking about last week when we were talking about manufactured homes.
Oh, okay.
Trailers, manufactured homes. So you could be in an RV park, and if your vehicle drives in and out, and they're.
Yeah, because the lane where they allow the RV park, it gotta have like a hookup, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but then it empty when there's nobody use it. Then it's all empty.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So in most of those cases, you're paying a rental fee for that spot to park your RV during the season.
Oh, okay, okay. So
because you're never really taking the wheels off of it, you're only staying there. You're only parked in that location for just a few months, and then when it starts getting hot. You hook your RV up and you drive back to your home.
What's the insurance that needed for that?
Beg your pardon?
The insurance, how are they? The person own the car, just have the car insurance. That's all.
That's correct.
But the park owner, what did they carry?
They carry
just a liability insurance.
Liability insurance. Yes.
I see. Yeah, because like someone said, they solicit say, "Oh, you want to buy an RV park?" I said, "What's that?" Yeah, RV park.
Yep. Yeah. And believe me, there are a lot of folks out there that look at that as a good investment.
Yeah.
It's like any other investment. If you put pen to paper and you take your income versus your expenses, you'll know pretty quickly whether or not it's a good investment.
Because I see no maintenance for the RV park, right?
Well, I think that there's always a degree of maintenance because you have sewer, water, sewer, and electric that you're supplying to those RV spots. But the other thing is you have pavement that has to be maintained.
Yes.
If you have a clubhouse, swimming pool, and some of them have some pretty extensive facilities.
But they just have like a lot, and then just a community area where when they come, they can use it.
Yes.
I see. Yeah.
But most of the time...
I was just thinking it's an empty lot. There's nothing in there. Oh, wow. It's like big like land. Oh, okay. So there's something like a community area, right?
Exactly right. Yep. And, the funny thing is, what you find is folks from different states tend to go to specific parks. So you may have people from Iowa. They all go to
They just want to go to the same one that they
go to the same one.
Yeah, get used to.
And so what they're doing is maybe they all live in Iowa during the year, but they're all spread out throughout the state. And during the wintertime, they come to these parks and it becomes a social event because they see friends that they don't see the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's true. So they kind of like a reunion, right?
An annual reunion.
Annual reunion.
Yep.
So that's a very good thing. Like everyone own an RV, or actually they rent it or something, right? So
they rent the plot.
Yeah, and then they can come and meet with each other that way. That's very, very good way of getting connection with our friend. So come back to the investment, the location. So you say you think how about like is that good to stay where close to transportation? Like buses and
absolutely. And if
I know that we cannot go close to train, right? We cannot. Well, not cannot, but like don't want to go close to the train air station.
With the full size regular Southern Pacific trains, those are freight trains.
Okay.
However, here in the Phoenix metro area, we have the light rail system, and the light rail system follows major arteries, east and west, north and south. So there are light rails that run up and down Central Avenue, and we also have light rail here in Mesa that runs on Main.
Mesa, Main, yeah. But it's very quiet. Like
It's
fast and
electric.
quiet. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
It's
that's
electric.
fine. Yeah.
But that's made to, and as you know, the train bed is located right in the center of the street.
Yes, that's true.
So it's in
the
a
middle.
already in a major
Like you
thoroughfare.
lost like a big space of the road. Yeah.
And it is powered electrically, so
Right.
you're not creating fumes or anything. And they go from station to station, and of course the stoplights work in conjunction with them, so that drivers in their cars can safely cross the roads.
Oh, yeah. I see like in Mesa area, that one main street downtown. That's one.
You can park in the Gilbert main area, park your car, take the light rail all the way downtown and go see a baseball game, go see a concert, and not even have to drive downtown.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
So
you can go to the airport.
Oh, so how are we? Because I saw all those, but I know like what's the name of it? Like if we want to purchase a ticket, or how do we pay for that?
Well, I'm assuming that it's credit cards and most of the time money, but
like we have to purchase advance ticket, just like a train ticket, or as we come as we go.
You can come and go.
Go.
Yeah. It's made for.
I want to try that because
it's made to be a commuter convenience, and that's why it goes on the major streets. But it takes you back to places where there's lots of employment, lots of entertainment. Because if you think about downtown Phoenix, there's a premium on parking.
Oh yeah.
So if everybody was going downtown at the same time, where are you going to park? Like
one time we really liked the Japanese restaurant in downtown Phoenix. And so, but then they are very good, but no parking. Like we have to go and look for the meter, and then we have to walk so far that come to that restaurant. And sometimes, like if it's done at nighttime, I wouldn't dare walk around there because it's not right outside of Phoenix. It's not that really a safety. I don't see, but yeah, I don't know how they can make that business without the parking. So now that's something.
And sometimes too, there's parking garages in Phoenix, but once again, you're paying another fee just to be able to park your car.
Right. Yeah. So it's not like you park somewhere and then you come walk all the way to this restaurant. It's not like you park in the restaurant and go down to
exactly.
Yeah. So
we get spoiled in the suburbs.
Really spoiled
because we have restaurants that are in
right in front of us.
Yeah, and you just pull up and you park and you walk in.
Yeah. So but if you want like a good food, and then they popular for that area, they're popular, then you have to take a chance.
That's correct.
Yeah. So what's next? We beside that location, as for the price of the home, that's going to determine, right, the house price. Because let's say they purchase. Oh, how about when they purchase? You said like surrounding them, big mansion, and then they bought that little house, and then the value up. So the price also really high if they purchase within the area. Then
yes.
So they don't calculate based on the size of the house or the house actually.
But they will. But the area. The more expensive the houses around you, they tend to influence the price of your house and bring you up.
Wow. I see. And then like so how about like sometime I see I drive by on the 187. I don't know what they call it, freeway, but it doesn't look like a freeway, but it's like street the 87 route or something. Connected from Mesa to go to Scottsdale in a shortcut. Right. Yeah. Like sometimes I get there, it's only like about 25 minutes instead of 45 minutes. And I drive by, there's a big landfill.
Yes.
I see houses further down, a little bit further down. What you think about that?
Well, I think part of that's on the Indian reservation. The Salt River Maricopa Indian Reservation. So that they're their own government entity. They make their own decisions on how the zoning and how the residential.
So it's not like from the city, from like
no, that's not from the city.
Oh, because sometimes I see like it's dirty, and then I realize, oh, city of Scottsdale, why they didn't clean up, or like something like that. So
if you think about it, the 101 freeway is actually on the Salt River in Maricopa Indian Reservation. Scottsdale Community College is on the reservation. That land is leased to the state or leased to Scottsdale Community College, but it is land that the tribe owns, and so they're the ones that are setting the rules as far as zoning, building codes, and everything. They're the authority.
Oh,
I
see. Wow.
And if you, for example, some of the large casinos that you see as you're driving along the 101, the aquarium up there in
aquarium,
up towards Scottsdale. A lot of people just immediately think it's Scottsdale.
Yeah.
But it is actually on tribal land.
Oh, really? Because I see like a big sign of like casino, and then they have everything there. So that's belong to some not the city of Scottsdale.
That's correct.
Wow. Basically, really like a majority, right, is belong to Native American. You said? Yeah.
Well, here in Arizona, only 17% of our land is available for you and I to purchase.
Oh, only 17%?
Only 17%.
Oh, wow.
So the big landholders are the federal government.
Right.
They have military reservations. You've got the national park like Grand Canyon.
Right.
You've got the national forests like Tonto National Forest. Everybody's familiar with that.
Right.
Then you have state land.
Okay.
Before I go on, the federal government also has military reservations. Goldwater Bombing Range, Yuma Proving Grounds, the Luke Air Force Base.
Oh, okay.
And then they also have BLM land, Bureau of Land Management.
Oh.
And so over here on the east side of Mesa, heading towards Apache Junction, there is land that's BLM land.
BLM?
BLM, Bureau of Land Management.
Okay.
And you'll see a lot of water diversion ditches and kind of areas where flood control occurs. So most of those areas are not available for any type of use other than that type of use.
Oh, wow.
Being able to control water. The exception is out in Apache Junction, there's a couple of places where the rodeo grounds is that they use for the Lost Dutchman rodeo. That is on BLM land, but it sounds to me like the city is either going to try to buy it from BLM or get a permanent lease from BLM. So there's instances like that, but generally speaking, Bureau of Land Management land is a federal land, but it's set aside and it's used for specific purposes. But it is open land.
Wow.
Another big stakeholder when it comes to land here in Arizona is the state of Arizona. You got state parks. And currently between Apache Junction going down towards Queen Creek, Santan, there's large open areas of the desert. That's state trust land. And so the state of Arizona was given land with the idea that over time they would auction off some of the state trust land. The proceeds from those sales are supposed to go into the education fund. But
what are they going to do with those land? State land?
What they've done
something?
Over time, what they've done is they auction them off. And if you ever go down Ironwood Road, State Route 24 is opened up now.
Yeah.
But if you go down Ironwood Road, I believe it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago maybe, that D.R. Horton and Brookfield Development, they bid and they won at auction almost 4.5 square miles.
Oh.
And currently they're putting in infrastructure like water lines, sewer lines, electricals come in. They're changing the roads out and they're building homes. I mean, D.R. Horton's building homes, and they started back last year about the time of the Super Bowl. They had their first models open. That was close to Meridian Road, Meridian and Ray. And now they've built out almost to Ironwood.
Wow.
And if you look on both sides, there's lots and lots of new roads going in, and it's mostly for residential. There will be a little bit of commercial, and I'm sure that it's the commercial like we were talking about,
yes,
where you have it for the convenience of the residents.
Amenity, yeah, exactly. Just like for using.
But that area, they plan within the next 5 years to build about 10,000 homes.
Oh, I see. Wow, 10,000 homes.
Yes.
And yeah, as I drive along the freeway, I see some of the new, especially with it's not that's another city like beside what's the further Phoenix? What do you call it? Buckeye, and then there's
Tonopah,
and Goodyear. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
so on the west side of the valley, they're also undergoing a lot of building. But you know, the interesting thing about the west side, they're closer to California than the east side. And one of their advantages is, you know, there's a lot of shipping that comes into the California coastline.
Right.
So a lot of it needs to come here. They're building large warehouses out there, and it's easy for goods to come off those ships and then be transported to warehouses here to the Phoenix area. So that's why some of those cities are undergoing a pretty good amount of commercial growth as well.
Wow.
But the East Valley is also undergoing growth, high tech, just south of State Route 24 along Ironwood at Germain. The city of Queen Creek recently passed a resolution to put in a $94 million bond so that they could go ahead and bring infrastructure to the corner of Ironwood and Germain.
Wow.
With the idea that LG, the battery producer, the tech people, LG, could build a new factory there. And I believe that the factory's estimated cost is going to be $2.7 billion. And they're looking at employing about 2,700 people.
Wow.
So that's jobs,
so
growth.
Job created, and so it's like a growing.
Yep. Yeah, which brings us to another point about desirability or where you want to have your home. You don't want to have to travel large, long distances to work. If it's more convenient to be able to work within a few miles of your home, all the better.
Wow. So yeah, at first I surprised, you know, like when I came to Arizona, it's really a big area and a lot of land. I say, plenty more there. Like twice like big, so big compared to like California right there. And I thought like whoever has money can buy whatever they want. But now I surprised that we only have that certain amount. It's not that if you have money, you can't even buy all. Right?
That's correct.
Well, that's reserved for something, somewhere or whatever.
Yeah. So we talked about the federal government. We talked about the state.
Yeah.
We said that 17% of the land can be owned privately.
Right.
One of the other big land holders, Native American tribes.
Yeah.
We have large reservations here.
Did they ever sell it?
No.
No, they don't. They don't communicate with us, huh?
Well,
I mean, like I never seen them. Are they really? How? I don't see their government. Like where they stay.
Well, the Salt River Maricopa Indian tribe, very sophisticated. They're business savvy, and on the reservation, just to the east of the 101, they do have a tribal headquarters there, and so that's where the tribal council meets. That's where their business agents are. That's where the governmental entity for the reservation is there. Now, there's other reservations. The Navajo reservation, of course, they kind of overlap a couple of states. So there's a little bit of a change there, but nevertheless, they are a sovereign nation. They're here within the United States, but they're a sovereign nation, and they have their own government that handles a lot of their affairs.
And like, you know, like when I drive on the freeway at that 101 or I don't remember, but the airplane, because it's like a really a free. It's people across California have to go through, and then I see airplane practicing and all that in that landfill. Is that those land belong to the state that they can do it, or they just they just practice like that on air?
Generally, if they're practicing, it's being controlled by the Federal Aviation because
okay.
there are certain areas where you can do things. Obviously, coming into Sky Harbor, that's a major airport, so they're going to control air traffic coming in there so that planes can fly in safely in and out.
Because like some law, like sometimes maybe we don't know if we cross somewhere, we didn't know about that the law policy of like Native American or something, like you do something you didn't even know, like the really nice view and area, and you come there and you do something, and then that means you illegal, but you don't even know. So how do we about going to find out like which one belong to who, whatever?
In many cases, the maps will tell you who the
like the Arizona map.
Yep,
that they can tell.
It will tell you who it is. And if you, everybody uses Google anymore.
So Google.
Just Google where.
But Google, they say like this you can do this and you can do that, right? I mean,
well, you may need to find out. And I'll give you a quick example.
Yeah. Okay.
On the Fort McDowell Indian Reservation, which is where Fountain Hills is.
Fountain Hill, yes.
So it's a little bit north of Fountain Hills, and it straddles the Gila River.
Oh.
You can paddle. In other words, you can take a kayak or a canoe and come down. I said Gila River. I meant the Verde River.
The Verde.
But if you come down the river to their reservation, you may have to have a permit. You may have to be approved to be able to come on the river through there.
Yeah. Yeah, I so afraid of Foothill because the street is like up, down, where I drive.
Exactly right.
Just like San Francisco, same thing. I go, I don't want to live in the house like where it's like, I don't even know, like up and then down, to the on the way there. So. But somebody like it, that way. Coastal way, roller coaster.
Well, the one thing about it is you have nice views.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yes.
Beautiful view.
It's a good thing it doesn't snow.
That's true. Yeah. And then also you said one thing that people know that when they come to the house in Arizona, sometimes the weather is hot, right? But the requirement for the building of the house inside the ceiling cannot go so high. Is that right? Is that the requirement that you said?
Well,
like for the Arizona,
many of the
construction
homes they limit how tall a building can be.
Yeah.
For residential areas.
Yeah.
I'd see 30 feet is a pretty common limiting factor.
Oh, 30 feet? Oh, okay.
Which really isn't that tall.
Yeah, some is really, because I see some of the house that is higher, but I didn't know how high, Yeah. But
I think here in Arizona we tend to do much more with single family homes being built with one level. Although it's less expensive to build two levels, to build your first floor on a concrete slab construction and then have the second floor built over the first floor. That's all typically wood, and wood is a little bit less expensive than building on that concrete foundation.
So you mean like a story, two-story?
Yes, a two-story home.
Two-story home.
Typically, the cost to build a two-story home, 2,000 square feet, is less than it would be to build a single level 2,000 square foot home.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Why is that? I mean,
the cost of your building materials, such as concrete, digging the foundation.
I thought this is higher than it should be, more sturdy, and no,
not necessarily, but when you think of what we use for our foundations, the footings, putting in the concrete floor, that's generally more expensive than it is to put a wood floor in.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So then, so let's say if they have a piece of land and is allowed to build multiple home, and so is it best to do like one connected to each other, or do one here, one here, one here, one here? What you think?
Well, that goes back to the question. Then goes back to looking at what the zoning requires.
Yeah,
the zoning may require a certain distance between the homes. The zoning may not allow the homes to be connected.
No, I mean like so what you call it, the apartment or a condo? connected. There's the different zoning, right? Number.
That's an entirely different zoning.
Oh, I see.
And
okay.
that
Like multiple home zoning,
Mhm.
different than the condo zoning.
Yes, in some cases, because what you're looking at is you're looking at the amount of density.
Density.
And when you have a lot of density in a small area,
right?
People in condos, you need parking. So everything is fairly tight in that complex. What do? You still have a requirement to make sure that your water retention, from stormwater and everything, how does that get handled? Sometimes you have, it appears like you've got little parks in some of these complexes. What those parks in many cases is they're lower, kind of a couple of feet lower than what the rest of the roadway is. Those are the retention areas where water runoff from storms goes into, and then it's allowed to sink into the ground. Because when the homes are there, the water can't permeate into the ground from the home. When you have streets and parking there, it can't permeate down there. So it's got to go somewhere. But if you have water retention areas, that's where it goes.
Oh.
So that has to be part of the planning. And once again, the more dense you are, the more you have to plan for that type of issue.
Because so then it's for even though the multi-family home zoning, so is that fall into what is called commercial, not residential?
Well,
what's the difference? Because I see they make income win. Yeah.
We kind of have a couple of different things going on, because when you're looking at multifamily,
right?
Multifamily, once again, we were just talking about density. So there's different zonings for that. The zoning that may allow a fourplex is going to be entirely different from the zoning that allows a 600 unit apartment complex to go into.
Oh, okay.
If you're looking at financing, a duplex, a triplex, and a fourplex can be purchased with residential mortgages.
Okay.
So I could say I wanted to live in one of the units. I could use a conventional, an FHA, a Veterans Administration type of a loan to go ahead and purchase a fourplex.
Right.
However, 5 units and larger is a commercial loan.
Oh, so it's fall into a different category.
Exactly.
With the interest rate of the commercial interest rate, maybe a different, not like maybe higher.
It may be higher, and the term may be lower.
Different. Oh, the term?
Because we're used to a 30-year mortgage.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas the mortgage on a commercial property may only be 15 to 20 years.
15 or 20 years. Yeah. Right. I see. Okay. So from 5 units and up. So that's why when we is that but if we purchase if we invest into multiple family 3 unit or 4 unit less than 5, then easier to borrow a loan, right?
And that's generally where many first time investors start off with is those smaller multifamily properties.
Yeah.
Because of the ease of getting the loans.
Like you don't get into association or something, maybe at that. But if it's like bigger, then it's fall into association category.
Generally speaking, if you get into a situation where, say you're in an apartment complex, the owner has got their own rules.
Right.
And if you get in a situation where you're in a condo complex, you're going to have a homeowners association or an owners association. Because they're concerned about all the common areas. They're concerned about how well you keep up your property on the outside and things like how the roofs are done and liability stuff. So you may have different rules in each location.
Really, I'm very admired all of the investor. They come about all the law, all the things, all the requirement. I mean, so if we don't have enough knowledge, and we wouldn't be able to get into something where because you might lose the money or you fall into something that you don't know and you get caught and you will be in trouble with the law and all.
Well,
for that.
and it's like we've said before, nobody cares about your money as much as you do.
That's like
So
you do, yeah.
you
Gotta think carefully
you
of
need
what
to
you
you
do.
need to look at each situation on its own.
Right.
One of the things that I see oftentimes with, let's talk about fourplexes for a second. We have a couple of locations here, not too far from us actually, where there are blocks and blocks of fourplexes. Now each one of those fourplexes is on its own parcel.
Yeah.
Each one is can be owned by a different owner. On occasion, you have owners who own 3 or 4 or 5. But generally speaking, they're smaller investors, and those are some of the first properties that they buy. Many times, there is no homeowners association or no owners association because they don't have any common interests. They face the street. Their tenants ingress, egress onto the property from the street. You have city services for your garbage, water, and sewer, and there is no common usage among any of those building owners. So that would be one aspect. But then, like I said, you can look at it at condos where they're built, or townhouses where they're built side by side, and they have what we call party walls. In other words, the two buildings are built, or the two residences are built so that the walls are just one wall. Essentially what they do is they create an air gap in between them, but nevertheless, they're touching each other. So you need to have a method for helping to make sure that everybody's adhering to the same rules, that everybody has quiet enjoyment of their own home, and that they're not being bothered by their neighbor. By the same token, you have things like your trash pickup. So if you don't have the city of Mesa coming in to pick up the trash, maybe you're having a separate service come in. You want the same service for everybody. You want to get the best price for everybody, but you also want to be able to limit the number of heavy vehicles that come into that community, because the heavy vehicles will increase the maintenance on the community streets.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's true. Because so let's say if we they purchased anything, they gotta do homework.
Yes,
they do the homework, and then they find out if that's the good area or good thing to invest. I think if we start small and slow and maybe go down along, then it's better.
You know, one thing we haven't gotten into is due diligence, and that may be something we can talk about in a future show. But the aspect of getting a seller's property disclosure statement from the owner while you're in the process of purchasing the property, the property's owner state, or the property's or the seller's property disclosure statement will tell you whether or not there is an HOA, and as part of the requirements, the owner has to be able to find out what the fees are for that association, and during the escrow process, you should get a copy of the CC&Rs as well as any owners association rules, so that you can look those over. During the due diligence period, which is typically 10 days, if you say you found something and in your in the owner's rules and regulations that says that you can't use it as an RBO, or VRBO. A vacation rental.
Vacation rental.
That they only will allow tenants or rentals that are 30 days or longer. Some will not even allow 30 days. Some of them require it to be a year. Some of them require that the owner, before he takes on a tenant into his own property, has to submit a lease to the owners association.
Oh, wow.
So they can make sure that the people coming in are solvent and that type of thing. So each one of those, every time they create a requirement, it becomes something that behooves you as a potential owner to look at and go, is this going to fit my business model?
Yeah. So that's as like whoever want to purchase inside the community, right?
Correct.
Even house or condo or townhome or whatever.
And it's exactly right. You could buy a house in a gated community,
PUD,
and just have a regular house. But once again, that owners association does not allow vacation rentals.
So we have to look in a CC&R, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Oh. Okay, yeah, that's a very good thing. So everyone now, if they want to rent it out as a vacation home, then they have to know that if they have the association, then the association allow it or not, right?
That's right.
Yeah, but who know that?
Well,
I mean,
in this day and age,
Uh-huh.
as vacation rentals has increased in popularity,
yeah,
one of the things is, so how would you like to have the house next to you be a vacation rental? And come spring training for baseball, and all these folks come from another city, and all they're doing is having parties and
yeah, because
barbecues
it's
and
fun. Oh yeah,
and drinking
like
and
really bothering the neighbor.
and they're loud and playing music. They're here to have fun,
Yeah, so
but you and your family, you guys got to go to
so you
work
mean
and
like
school.
the actual neighbor is really the one that complains?
Well, but it's also part of the association rules to be able to protect the other residents.
Okay, so we have to, yeah, because I see CC&R and bylaw sometimes really thick, and nobody pay attention about that. Yeah, when
Until
things
something
occur,
goes wrong.
Yeah, then they will start. Okay, so which line? So they start looking into it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as for the a homeowner, I think there's something that I would like to just remind, because it's far into I drive by the street and I see like sometimes a lot of mattresses or a lot of big item and everything lay around and waiting for people picked up and all that. But I hope everyone as a homeowner will know that if they need a large item picked up, they don't have to wait for anyone, that they call to the city. Like I know, like if we in the Mesa, then we have the city of Mesa, and they have a trash pickup, and they will allow to have a very small fee, to have the picked up. Like sometimes if you ask somebody else to pick up the large item, they charge like $50 to $100 for the dump fee and all that stuff. But like with the city, if you called in to the trash department and you allowed to request the picked up appliances, all the things that not working, and they will just let you know that okay, that week, that day, bring it out the night before, and they will pick it up. Right. Rather than lay everything around and then hopefully find a good people or find somebody with a lower price to tow away.
And I've seen it in a lot of communities where they have a homeowners association. The homeowners association will actually go to the city and coordinate it for the whole homeowners association. They put it out in their newsletter and they go, hey folks, we're on the second Friday of the month, we're having a bulk pickup. So
that's very nice. However, I mean, I love to have like somebody active that way with the association. Some association, they don't do that. They just there, they don't do anything. Like they're waiting for people to complain, but if not, then they won't touch anything. And not go all the way and do something like I know like where I live, people would stay really active and they go out and they collect the canned food. They do things and make the neighbor look nice, and those are the really great people with the board director. Right. Yeah.
Not all homeowners associations are that proactive.
Right. So just luck depend on the luck. All right. So I think like we it's time for us to see our audience next week really fast, isn't it? Yeah. Yes. So a lot of things that we cover, and I know that I hope we all hope and that everything will bring to our attention as for the daily life and whatever that we're thinking of going for our investment or even living environment, and even the knowledge, just for the knowledge, right, Scott?
That's correct.
Yeah. So you want to say something before we're going to end it? So
well, just that next week, what we're going to do is we're going to cover single family homes versus multifamily homes and investing in them. And I think what I'll probably do is walk through a couple of examples and show how to analyze a property financially.
Oh, okay. That's wonderful. All right. So then we see everyone next week, and thanks for watching VAATV.com. Scott Barlow from SF Fuller Real Estate Investment, and Sylvie. We'll see you next time. LinhVi xin cảm ơn sự theo dõi của tất cả quý vị trong những giây phút vừa qua. Chương trình VAATV xin kính chào, tạm biệt và xin hẹn gặp lại quý vị vào lần phát hình kỳ tới. Mọi chi tiết về thông tin thương mại và bảo trợ, xin mời quý vị hãy liên lạc về địa chỉ email vaatelevision@gmail.com và số điện thoại là 480 289 9816 480 289 9816, website vaatv.com và vaaznews.com. Xin kính chào, tạm biệt.